So you've probably seen them, right? Those memes that are just everywhere, claiming India invented, well, pretty much everything. And it really makes you wonder, when we talk about history and all these big ideas, is modern India a credit stealer or is it a credit restorer? To figure this out, we're going to take a little trip. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Great Indian Museum of Universal Inventions. At least according to certain corners of the internet, this is the place where it all began. So let's take a quick tour of the star exhibits, shall we? First up, over here, the airplane. Yeah, forget the Wright brothers. We've got ancient Vimana scrolls. These texts supposedly described incredible flying machines thousands and thousands of years ago. A pretty bold claim to kick things off. And what about Wi-Fi? Oh, that's easy. It was just the meditation frequency of ancient rishis, broadcasting pure consciousness across the land. Who needs a router when you've got that? And of course, you can't miss this one, plastic surgery. The internet will tell you Lord Ganesha himself is the OG prototype. I mean, if you believe every single post you see, it kind of seems like India didn't just write history, it practically copy-pasted the whole universe. And last but not least, gravity. Long before Isaac Newton was getting bonked on the head by an apple, we had coconuts. It's all a bit of fun, of course, but you know what I mean. These memes are absolutely everywhere. Okay, it's really easy to laugh at all of this, but let's just pause for a second. Behind every big exaggeration, isn't there often a little forgotten truth? What if some of these wild ideas actually have real roots that were just lost to time? And this right here gets to the absolute heart of the matter. You see, thousands of years ago, there was this immense amount of knowledge in India. But here's the thing. Brilliance, no matter how profound it needs a bridge to travel across the world. And for a very, very long time, that bridge just wasn't there. And make no mistake, the knowledge that was documented was staggering. We're talking about huge universities like Takshashila and Nalanda. We're talking about medical texts like the Sushruta Samhita, which described complex eye surgeries when a lot of the world just thought blindness was, magic. You had Aryabhata writing about planets rotating on their axis centuries before Galileo. And of course, India gave the world the concept of zero, the cornerstone of all modern math. The brilliance was absolutely there, no question. So, what happened? How did all that get lost? Well, a single invention created a massive, massive divide. When Johannes Gutenberg fired up his printing press in the 1440s, Europe suddenly had a way to mass produce and spread knowledge like wildfire. Meanwhile, in India, all this incredible knowledge was still being meticulously preserved by hand, written on fragile palm leaves. Its reach was tiny. To put it simply, Europe published while India preserved. Think of it this way. Europe basically got a giant megaphone to shout its ideas across the entire globe. At the same time, India's vast ocean of knowledge was being passed along in whispers, from scholar to scholar. And, as we all know, history tends to favor the one with the loudest voice. And this communication gap, it led to what we can call the Great Credit Shift. Because history isn't just written by the wise, it's written by the published. So when colonial scholars came along, they didn't necessarily steal ideas. What often happened was they discovered them, rebranding them in the bright light of day, printing them in books, and indexing them in libraries all across the world.
Let me give you a perfect example of this. We all remember the Pythagorean theorem from school, right? It's that foundational math principle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, attributed to the Greek thinker Pythagoras, way back around 570 BC.
Now, look at this. This quote is from something called Badayana Soba Sutras. It's an ancient Sanskrit text from around 800 BC. That's about 230 years before Pythagoras was even born. And it describes the exact same principle, just in different words. The West called it discovery, but maybe for India it was more like relearning. So here's the bottom line. A land that literally taught the world how to count by giving it the number 0 was itself counted out of the story. The ideas were there all along. The megaphone just wasn't. But that story, it doesn't end in silence. Not at all. Because today, in the digital age, there are no gatekeepers. The very same internet that spreads all those funny memes we started with, it's also the most powerful tool for sharing knowledge that the world has ever seen. So this online movement we're seeing, it's not really about boasting. It's about reconnecting a super rich past to a really vibrant future. It's about translating those ancient texts into digital pixels so anyone, anywhere can access them. It's about using that legacy to fuel modern patents and huge innovations, like the Chandrayaan-3 moon mission. And ultimately, it's about inspiring a whole new generation with what's possible. You could almost see it as a change in role. Maybe India was never a credit stealer at all, but a credit sleeper, a dreamer just waiting for a louder dawn. And now, in this digital age, it's becoming a credit restorer, echoing those ancient chants through modern satellites. And that really brings us right to the core idea of all of this. This isn't about stealing credit from anybody else. It's about restoring a memory that was carefully written down, but for centuries just couldn't be widely heard. So leave you with this thought. For the first time in human history, the entire world has the tools to listen to everyone, not just the people who owned a printing press. And that really makes you wonder, what other incredible stories from every corner of this globe have just been waiting to finally be heard?